one of the things that motivated me to get in this race is that we can't allow this to devolve into a factional struggle. I don't think any of us can sit here and pretend that the status quo is okay or that everything went along just fine. We got to learn from the after-action report, but we've also got to move forward. If the outcome of this DNC chair race is that half the party feels like it's just been sent packing, we're going to be that much further on a back foot dealing with the real opposition, which is Trump and the Republican opposition.
Hey Young Turks, this is Nomi Konst here in Baltimore, where the final official DNC Futures Forum has finished. And we are talking to all the DNC chair candidates and the other candidates, getting their ideas for the future of the Democratic Party, which is undoubtedly in transition. We have the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, who is a DNC chair candidate, Pete Buttigieg.
Thanks for having me. Nice to be with you.
So, last time we spoke to you, it was a few weeks ago, before Donald Trump was inaugurated, the second official forum in Phoenix, and the conversations seem to be shifting as each forum goes on. There's a transition. A lot of ideas get spread and picked up, and now at the end I listen to all the candidates and I'm like, they're Democrats and they believe in democratic values. And I think for a lot of members, it might be hard for them to differentiate between everybody, especially after having conversations with them for such long periods of time. Why are you unique?
Well, I'm not like the others, and if there's a convergence in message, then it will really come down to which one of us is best positioned to deliver on those things that many candidates are saying they want to do. The case for my candidacy is, if everybody says we should compete in every part of the country, why not put in the guy who's been running and winning in a red state like Indiana? If everybody says that we can't treat the presidency like it's the only office that matters, why not put somebody who's a mayor who understands the importance of those state and local elections? If we're all saying we've got to engage the next generation, put in a guy from the next generation. And if we're all saying we understand the power of grassroots organizing right now, put in the one guy who prioritized going to the Women's March the day that it happened. It led the way for DNC chair candidates to go to an airport protest and continues to be involved with the grassroots, as evidenced, for example, by what we do with our volunteers, which is not just having them come here and cheer me on, but also deploying them. For example, today, we had them over in Delaware, where there's a special election that's going to decide the balance of the Senate there. And in other cities, we've had them register voters. It's about walking the walk and actually doing the things that all of us say we want to do and know how to do.
And I understand that, but there are a lot of candidates that have deep organizing backgrounds, whether it's Chairman Buckley from New Hampshire, who's transformed his state, gotten more people elected and recruited, or Chairman Harrison in South Carolina, who has had an uphill battle to fight, but he, with limited resources, has been trying to do what he can and understands the dynamics of what's at stake in the party. Or Keith Ellison, who, of course, has transformed his community and his state. From one of the lowest turnout elections. So there's a lot of real substance. And I think, for our viewers who've been watching this along the way, we've been covering this, and there aren't a lot of reporters. So they're saying things like, none of them are saying this or this, and it's a proxy battle between the Bernie and Hillary side. You and I both know no one's talking about Bernie and Hillary. They're talking about organizing. You are a mayor, though, and there is a different type of organizing that comes and leading and running a city that comes with being a mayor. What kind of skills from your position as mayor could you use as DNC chair other than organizing?
Well, we didn't just run the city, we turned it around. South Bend was a city that was on the brink when I took office, and now it's growing at the fastest pace in a generation. So I'm very proud of the work that we've done. But I've had to be responsible for a $300 million budget and 1,000 employees, and it's not just the scope of the responsibility, but what we did with it. We were the first city, for example, to put our checkbook online so everybody could see how we were spending city money. And in a moment when there's a big conversation about transparency in the workings of the DNC, I've walked the walk in government, making sure that people can see how we operate. I do think the executive experience of somebody who is responsible day in, day out for operating an administration, even one the scale and the size of a place like South Bend, is highly relevant experience for what is, at the end of the day, an organizing job and a job about getting stuff done.
You are mayor, and you have a great record, and there's a lot of attention being shone on you right now as an up-and-coming star in the Democratic Party. Why would you leave your position as mayor and go to the DNC so quickly, or is this about something else? When the proxy fight, if you look at the press, is between Ellison and Perez right now.
Well, I don't think our party needs that. One of the things that motivated me to get into this race is that I don't think a proxy fight is good for anybody. And I'm not the product of any faction within the party. I'm just somebody who works hard and wants to see our party have a better future. I love my job as mayor, and it would be very hard to step away from it, which is what I've promised I will do if elected as chair. But the reality is this is too important to stay on the sidelines. What could be more important, even if this is the last thing I do in politics, than organizing the opposition in the face of a monstrous presidency and regime like what we have right now? This is the time to find new ways for all of us to make ourselves useful, and that's why I've been stepping away from a place that I love and a job that I love, working my tail off, losing my voice because we've been out campaigning, but because it matters so much.
You have the support of David Axelrod, who, of course, is from the Obama camp. You also have the support of Mayor Daley, former Mayor Daley, I should say, from Chicago. Is that correct? That's about to come out?
Yeah, I think Bill Daley has announced an endorsement. David Axelrod's officially neutral, but he certainly said some very nice things about me, which I'm grateful for. I guess I'm very proud to have backing from people from all kinds of different parts of the party. People who would be considered to be more aligned with any figure in the party, from the Hillary world to Bernie world to Obama world. But I'm not about what world you come from or what letterhead names are next to you. I'm about where the party is headed, and I think a lot of people who care about the direction of the party and who have a sense of what it's going to take are excited about our candidacy and the ideas we put forward.
What's the path forward at this point? I mean, we just spoke with Chairman Harrison from South Carolina, and he laid out all the scenarios and the ballots, how they all work. So our audience understands the vote, which is complicated.
Yeah.
It's not an easy process. What's your path forward, knowing there is this split?
Yeah. Obviously, each of us would love to win on the first ballot, but it's highly likely that multiple ballots are going to happen, which is where things get really interesting. And it's one of the reasons we think that our candidacy has a lot of value here. There are some people in one camp who might never vote for the other camp, but they're looking for another way, or they might have to if they find their candidate simply can't get a majority. And if any one of the candidates in this race were anywhere close to a majority, they would have called us by now with a hard count, and it hasn't happened. So clearly some folks may be hitting their ceiling, and that's where the second choice dynamics begin to become very important. We were a late entry in the race. A lot of people are saying, look, I wish I'd known about you before. I've got a promise I got to keep on the first ballot, but after that I'm for you. And that's one dynamic that could help us win this thing, depending how the scenario plays out.
If you were to become chair, as a leader, how would you empower the vice chairs, the other positions in the party that really, are figureheads at this point?
We've got to have a conversation about how to get more people at the table. The fact that almost nobody has acknowledged having even seen the budget, even in the executive committee, is a real trouble sign. I'm used to having my budget of $300 million scrutinized by anybody who wants to look it up because we put it online. And maybe we don't go that far for tactical reasons, but we've got to at least make sure there's some proper governance. And that means including more voices. The DNC, the 447 members, that's the board of directors. And even most of them say that they haven't been at the table, they don't always know what's going on, and those are insiders compared to the rest of us in the party who don't even have that title. And so we really got to find a way to open things up. I think we can use new media tools to do that. I think some of it's old-fashioned updates to our governance to make sure that information flows more evenly within our organization, and especially among the members who are responsible for helping to guide it and provide oversight.
You've been campaigning every day. Everybody's talking about how they're touring around the country.
Yeah.
What is the most interesting thing you've learned from a DNC member about the Democratic Party that you didn't know about beforehand?
Well, it's certainly interesting to know how few people are involved in the finance piece of it. So that was a bit of an eye-opener. At the same time, it's also interesting to see how very different people with very different stories all use the same vocabulary of wanting to see a fresh start in the party. Everything from, some of the old-timers have been here for the longest time to some of the brand-new people who just got elected in these state party elections that are going on. They all seem to have an interest in a new direction and a fresh start. It's one of the things that's encouraged us in this path.
Mayor Pete, as you go by, Mayor Pete. Just to be fair, you said that on stage. You go, people call me Mayor Pete. Right. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in Atlanta.
Look forward to it. Thanks very much. Take care.